Imagine standing on a battlefield, your bow raised. But across from you aren't strangers. They're your family, your teachers, people you've loved your entire life. What would you do? This isn't fiction. This isn't a movie plot. This is the story of a real prince who faced this exact situation, and his decision sparked one of the most profound conversations in human history. Before we dive in, let me paint a picture. 2 armies, millions of soldiers, the fate of an entire kingdom hanging in the balance. And at the center of it all, a family torn apart by conflict. The year was around 3000 BC in ancient India. The location? Kurukshetra, a battlefield that would become sacred ground. 2 sides of the same family were about to wage the greatest war ever known. Our story focuses on Arjuna, the greatest archer the world had ever seen. A warrior so skilled that even the gods themselves praised his abilities. But today, his greatest test wasn't about archery. Arjuna in his golden chariot stood between 2 massive armies. The air was thick with tension. War drums echoed across the battlefield. Thousands of soldiers waited for the signal to begin. Next to him stood his charioteer, Krishna. Now, Krishna wasn't just any charioteer. He was, well, that's a story for another video. But trust me, it's mind-blowing. Arjuna made a simple request. Krishna, drive my chariot between the 2 armies. I want to see who I'm about to fight. Little did he know, this moment would change everything. As the chariot moved forward, Arjuna's confident expression began to fade. He saw faces, familiar faces, faces that had been part of his life since childhood. There was Bhishma, his beloved grandfather, who had raised him with more love than any father could give. The man who taught him his first lessons in dharma, duty, and righteousness. He saw Drona, his archery teacher, who had taught him everything he knew. The man who helped him become the warrior he was today. Could he really raise his bow against his own guru? Then there were his cousins, uncles, friends, all standing on the opposite side. Each face carried memories of shared laughter, celebrations, and countless moments of joy. That's when it hit him. This wasn't just a war. This wasn't just about winning a kingdom. This was about destroying his own family, his own blood. Arjuna's legendary hands began to tremble. His throat went dry. The bow Gandiva, which had never felt heavy before, now seemed to weigh 1,000 mountains. Sweat covered his forehead. His mind raced with questions. How could this be right? How could killing family ever lead to happiness? What kind of victory would be built on the corpses of loved ones? And then, something unprecedented happened. Arjuna, the greatest warrior of his age, the undefeated hero of countless battles, dropped his bow. His legs gave way, and he collapsed in his chariot. Krishna, he said, his voice trembling, I see no good in this war. What virtue can there be in killing my own people? What happiness can come from this? As Arjuna continued, his questions became deeper, more universal. What is right and what is wrong? How can we know for sure? What happens when our duty conflicts with our hearts? Now, before you think this is just an ancient story, let me show you why this matters to you right now in your life. Think about the last time you had to make a difficult decision. Maybe it was choosing between your dream job and family obligations, or between being honest and protecting someone's feelings. Or perhaps you faced the modern equivalent of Arjuna's dilemma, having to choose between what society expects of you and what your heart tells you is right. You see, While we might not be standing on literal battlefields, we all face our own Kurukshetras, moments where we must choose between equally difficult options. Arjuna's questions are our questions. His struggle is our struggle. And that's what makes this story so powerful. It's not just history, it's a mirror to our own lives. But this isn't just about difficult decisions. It's about something much deeper, about understanding who we really are and what we're meant to do in this world. It's about duty versus emotion, action versus inaction, and most importantly, how to find clarity when everything seems confusing and overwhelming. This moment of crisis, this breakdown of Arjuna, leads to something extraordinary. It becomes the starting point of the Bhagavad Gita, one of the most profound philosophical conversations ever recorded. Think about it. In the middle of a battlefield, moments before the greatest war in history, we get this incredible dialogue about life, duty, purpose, and the nature of reality itself. And here's the amazing thing. The answers that Krishna gives to Arjuna are just as relevant today as they were 5,000 years ago. Maybe even more so. Because let's be honest, we're living in confusing times. More options than ever before. More pressure than ever before. More confusion about what's right and wrong than ever before. And just like Arjuna, we need guidance. We need wisdom. We need practical answers to life's biggest questions. In the coming videos, we'll explore Krishna's response to Arjuna's crisis. And trust me, it's not what you'd expect. It's both practical and profound. Both simple and revolutionary. We'll learn about duty. About action without attachment. About finding peace in chaos. And about discovering who we really are beyond all our roles and responsibilities. But more than that, we'll discover how to apply this ancient wisdom to our modern lives. How to face our own battles with clarity, courage, and wisdom. In our next video, we'll dive into Krishna's first response to Arjuna. And believe me, it's going to challenge everything you think you know about duty and moral choices. But before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Have you ever faced a situation where, like Arjuna, you had to choose between your heart and your duty? Share your story in the comments. Lastly, subscribe and hit the notification bell to catch the next episode where we'll explore Krishna's unexpected first words to Arjuna. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.